Hello, Divinity. I always don't keep my videos as serious as I should. And yet I don't want to come off heavy-handed or angry or sullen. So, I do try to use comedy or levity to make my videos a little bit interesting. And I've been thinking about what you were talking about with your belief and how to approach someone who's a theist. And this conversation could segue into so many different topics about ideology, belief, Christianity, reality, atheism, naturalism. But I'm going to try to keep it as direct to what you were talking about as I possibly can. And then maybe add a topic of my own, or a subject of my own that relates to it. You've asked us to relate to theists here, but we're always up here. Well, now many atheists, and you've said, well, what does God mean to you? Many atheists are not strictly naturalists. And by naturalist, I mean someone who only believes that the world functions through natural processes. It's not to do with nature. It's not a naturalist. It's that they reject any aspect of the supernatural. And many atheists don't. They don't consider themselves agnostic. But because they reject a God, sometimes, like you said, just a Christian God, they consider themselves, well, they rightly consider themselves atheists, but they use that term almost as a colloquialism for naturalists. But when it's their spiritual beliefs, like the Wiccans, the non-theistic followings, spiritual beliefs, Eastern religion, Buddhists, I can think of a few Buddhists, they consider this part of their atheism with their ideology. They say, many people say, there is no ideology tied with atheism. You simply just do not believe in a God. But your story of being raised in Catholicism as a Catholic, and seemingly a devout Catholic family, was what your father said, that no one's strong enough to dabble. That one got me. Seems to fit the pattern of atheists and why they're atheists when they step away from Christianity and sometimes the other two main Orthodox religions, or theistic religions, Judaism and Islam. So, quasi. So the question is, it really does seem like there is an aspect of ideology within atheism, and that its underpinnings are part, excuse me, damn pop-up, are part of that central belief. Why some atheists and secularists have the views they do. But others will argue that, so I guess that's not here or there. But what is important is that atheists are not naturalists. And as a naturalist, someone who can't accept the supernatural I'm trying to think of how to express it to you, because you say we're caught up in here. Yes, we are. Because many atheists, I think even the ones that reject all supernatural things, are also here. But the reason we get dogmatic and bullying and full of vitriol and other things is because when you let go of here, when you're an atheist, you're free-falling. It's not that there's something you can't touch. It's not like the sun, where you can't really, sunlight, where you can't really see. No, that's not a good example. Well, heat from the sun, where you can't really see it, but you can feel it. Or a breeze, where you can't see the wind, but you can see its effect. It's not like that. It's like, well, my friend Harvey. I just happened to think of that James Cagney, Jimmy Stewart, sorry. Long time seeing that Jimmy Stewart movie. I think it was talking about mental health issues, time. But he tried to convince everyone about his friend Harvey and why it didn't matter. And that's just an example that popped in my head. But it's like that. It's really like that. And there's no way, despite what you feel as an atheist in here, to let it go up here. I've tried to do videos to make several examples to people who were theistic about why belief falls apart in its logical fallacies. Why the mechanisms of supernaturalism fall into the realm of magical thinking. Let me rehark on one of those. I did a video and I'll try to keep this real brief. It was about, I think it was called, You're in Good Hands with All Faith. And what I basically said was, you will pray that car gets over the hill or someone will help you. But if you got to a mechanic on the other side of the hill, you made it. And, oh yeah, that was it. Let me backtrack a little bit on that. You will pray for that car to be better. You will pray for your own health to get better or to be safe. Some people believe in laying on hands. It's an extension of praying for somebody like in the hospital to make a recovery, even if it's unlikely. The power of positive thinking. Which is a hard one for me to deny because it seems to follow through in some aspects other than supernatural one, a power of belief. Well, so you have two aspects of faith, of supernatural influencing the natural. Praying for a vehicle to get better, praying for yourself to be well or better. But let's say you make it to that mechanic over the hill on that stormy, rainy night. Well, what if he put his hands on the hood of your car and you knew that the next stop was 100 miles away, and he believed this, and he considered you to be someone who would share in his belief, that he laid his hands on that car and said, okay, the Lord has repaired your vehicle. You can make it to the next town now. There won't be any problems. You would tell him, no, get in there, turn wrenches, and friggin' make sure the mechanics of the engine are functioning. Replace the fan belt, put coolant in the radiator, and do all the naturalistic things, the steps that it would take rationally for this machine and engine to function by the laws of physics and nature. Well, physics. Nature, yeah. Sorry. But generally, in reality, it's physics and nature. And, so if you take that, see, that's where there's a bound of magic thinking. That's why atheists take those steps and they step backwards with that thinking to that deductive logic where there are no more logical fallacies. And it can be extremely frustrating, disheartening, and personally saddening when people just won't go. They won't follow. It's not that they have to or they want to. It's just they're trying to tell you about this thing, and you're trying to say, no, it's just not there. The wind might be there, the warmth from the sun might be there, but what you're seeing is not there. You know, and it's just an exasperating feeling. Something else exasperating too is the way it affects the real world. You say God is there to turn to. Well, I couldn't be a hypocrite, but it seemed like God was there for me, but I couldn't accept it. I had a rough life. Excuse me. I don't know why I do that in videos. My nose gets itchy. But I had a rough life. And I've been down unsavory paths. You know, living on the wild side. I ran into an old friend, old stomping buddy, who was with me in some of the wilder scenes. And he had gotten his life together and turned to God for help. He had found a support network, probably through his Narcotics Anonymous. Well, I don't know where he came from. I don't know how he found me, and he found me twice. But he was there right when I needed him. And all he did was give me a number, an address, and say, hey, meet me at this church. I couldn't bring myself to do it. Because I could not be that kind of hypocrite. Because I am a naturalist. Oh, you don't know how bad I wanted to go. How bad I needed to go. See, I could have landed a city job. It was with someone I knew and liked. And it could have got me full-time if I got the job, you know. But, I mean, it was an opportunity. It was a real opportunity. But because I had to stick to my guns, I passed on that. Because I was not going to step into a church and be deceitful like that. It just struck me as ethically wrong. Sit here on one hand and talk about real values, believing in the real world, how strongly I feel about it, but then turn around and fake and fawn about, oh yes, trying to bluff my way through like I'm some sort of unsure agnostic to get as means to an ends to get something. That struck me as wrong. Ethically wrong. So I passed on it. And yeah, that one cost me. So I can see what you're saying about God can be there for you. Well, maybe that would have been there for me. But in reality, there was nothing there but incident and circumstance. As hard as that is to believe, even for me, it felt like a prayer had been answered. But even if I feel this way, I know better. I have to know better. Because the reality is, that can only be the only possible reality. I hope you get what I'm saying to you. I hope you understand somehow, some way. I don't know. It's just to try to evangelize non-belief can be as bad as somebody trying to witness or share their faith with another. And that can be done through non-verbal means. So, I don't know. But I'm trying to give you an answer of why atheists and really naturalists like myself get completely stuck up here. Because there's just nothing outside of here. All this is just in here. But all this is out here. That's the only way it can be. Well, at least for some of us. You inherit the wind. You feel it. That's all.